he was saying, well, no, this isn't really accessible. It's something we'd like to do. Same thing happened. He had an iPod Touch sitting on the rowing machine. We turned on VoiceOver, and here it's giving me the distance and the reps that you're doing on the rowing machine. It was all accessible, and they didn't even know it. Well, I can't talk to everybody and see every app, but it leads me to believe that there's probably another 50 products out there that are accessible. They don't even know it. They're not promoting it. They're not taking advantage of it. That's a shame. So the beauty of the iPhone and the VoiceOver, and this will be true with Android as well, is as soon as the talking app gets a little bit friendlier, instead of having to build in special speech into every device, which is great. You might decide that having a talking microwave or stove is a good thing to do for all of the market. But my approach that I think makes sense from a business standpoint is let's minimize the special development that we have to put into these products so that they're cheaper and it makes sense for everybody. So if I can use I call it my accessible portal, this device around my neck, my iPhone, or any number of other accessible devices that have speech or braille in them, let's have them talk to your device through Bluetooth or USB. Let's just expose the interface and get these things talking to each other, and then you don't have to build it into your device. It's really amazing that this is an option. So my hope is that companies will take the approach of coming to the National Federation of the Blind or other people who can consult with them and saying, we want our stuff to be accessible. We're not exactly sure how to do it, but we're the expert on our product. You're the experts on accessibility. Put our heads together. Boom, we've got a solution. And you might find that something's already working together and you didn't even know about it. I've had the opportunity to meet with the Chief Technology Officer for the White House, Mr. Chopra, and with President Obama on another occasion, and with Peter Diamandis from the X Prize Foundation, and of course with Stevie Wonder, all talking about what cool things could we do, or what cool thing could we do to really impact blind people nationally, maybe in terms of employment or consumer electronics or whatever. We're still trying to come up with what that X Prize is. What is the one cool thing we'd like to do? But I've mentioned that because if anybody's interested in becoming part of that dialogue or has ideas about it, we want to know what that is so we focus on the right thing. I'm particularly interested in something that'll enhance and enrich the shopping experience, because blind people can't really window shop too well. And so I want to be able to go into a Best Buy and know what I'm passing as I go down the aisle. Right now, I can walk down the street and with my accessible GPS, I'm hearing all about the things that I'm passing. Starbucks on your right, strip club on your left, strip club on your left, strip club on your left. All of this stuff in Las Vegas that's amazing. And so I want to have that experience when I'm walking down an aisle of hearing what I'm passing. I call that the look-around mode, so that I have kind of electronic eyeballs that are narrating to me my environment. And anyway, if we can make that type of experience attractive to sighted customers, then, by the way, it also talks through my iPhone or my Braille note or whatever, and now a blind person can experience that accessibly. And it's a common application between the mainstream market and the accessibility market. So you could see this is what I'm pushing in terms of what makes sense from a business standpoint, and I hope that you won't be afraid to come forth, and even though if you don't know an exact solution, work with people and we can collaborate and try to make something happen. I think we'll have a chance for some questions once Mike and Jake have talked, but that's kind of my general spiel, and if we're lucky enough to have Stevie come in, I'm sure he'll make a few comments that echo some of these things that I've been talking about. So thank you very much for your time, and I'll pass the gavel over.
Those were some excellent comments, and it's very interesting because at Georgia Tech we do a lot of research and development, and we do it with a lot of the wireless industry. We have about 40 companies, and most of them do not know that they do have accessibility features or universal design elements already in their devices. So that's part of our outreach, is to educate them on what their own devices can do. So that was an excellent point, excellent point. This is going to be a great panel, as you can tell. So our next speaker is Mike Starling. Mike's actually an old friend of mine. We go back a really long time in broadcasting, although I'm only 21, Mike. I don't know what happened to you. But Mike is Vice President and Chief Technology Officer for NPR, National Public Radio, and Executive Director of the Technology Research Center and the NPR Labs, the only not-for-profit research and development center, public service technology development for the broadcasting radio industry. In the 1970s, Mike founded, built, and managed both commercial and non-commercial stations in Virginia. I know that's a big deal because I've been involved with just the building of one station, and that's how I lost most of my hair, and I'm all gray except that I dye it. It's a major deal. He spent the 80s as chief engineer for NPR member station, KPBS FM in San Diego. He was a founder of the Association of Public Radio Engineers. Starling has consulted for radio stations across the United States and in Southern Africa, and has been a U.S. delegate to the ITU, which is the International Telecommunications Union. Mike joined NPR in 1989 as a senior engineer. He was named Director of Engineering in 1991 and Vice President for Engineering in 1998 and Vice President CTO in 2005. He's represented NPR on regulatory technology initiatives for over 20 years. And I know he's also very active with the Federal Communications Commission and rulemakings that have to do with accessibility. Starling has also been named one of Radio Inc.'s 35 most admired engineers for 2005, 2006, and 2009. And he was one of Radio Inc.'s top radio CTOs for 2010. He also accepted a Wonder Vision Award to NPR from Stevie Wonder, who we just heard about, for his unit's work on making radio accessible to the print disabled. Mike, which I didn't know, is also a lawyer. I guess that's why you can argue both sides of the argument, huh?
Indefinitely.
And he's a member of both the California and the District of Columbia Bar Association. Let's welcome Mike to the podium.
Sorry. Okay, Sting is running a little bit late due to the traffic, but we still hope that he'll be here around 12:30 or so. Thank you for that gracious introduction. It has been noted that the California and the DC bars are the only two bars I have been known to pass, but actually I'm here today to talk to you about three projects that NPR has been working on, and they have to do with universal design by breaking the sound barrier for radio, adding personalization, and feeling the power, literally. So let me tell you just a little bit about some of our activities there. We are fortunate to be able to take it for granted that radio has ubiquitous reach. The latest Arbitron numbers showed that radio is at an all-time high. 237 million people every week tune into radio broadcast. And of course, the same is true for NPR, that our listening is at an all-time high, which is, I think, all across public radio. It's approximately 34 million people tune in every week. We have a statutory obligation to serve the unserved and underserved in Section 396 of the Communications Act. See, I'm practicing that lawyer thing that Helena mentioned there. But for the past 40 years, we'd really worked hard on trying to extend our geographic reach. So that's why we now have about 950 public radio stations across America, reaching about a footprint that extends to about 93% of the population. So we've now shifted focus from how to reach Americans geographically on a dispersed basis to how to reach them better. So this unit that Helena referred to, NPR Labs, I had the good fortune to capitalize on the success that we enjoyed in developing multicasting techniques with the advent of the new digital radio system back in 2005. There are now over 1,000 new radio stations, HD2, HD3 stations, some of you might be fond of, that have resulted since then, and that has grown into the Technology Research Center activities that I run at NPR. These three Department of Education activities I want to talk to you about. The first one is breaking the sound barrier. There are 23 million Americans that are deaf or hard of hearing locked behind the sound barrier from the information that comes across the radio that is often much of the water cooler conversation around America. And we